Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is the lovely Ría Thompson-Washington. Welcome. Oh, you're muted, by the way.
It's 20 years into the pandemic. I should know about the mute button by now. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And to kick it all off and get it started, just give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Ría Thompson-Washington. I use she, her, and ella pronouns. I'm an organizer, an activist, an abolitionist, and I work to make sure that the lives of Black and Brown people are easier, period.
Certainly, certainly. Now, you work in the legal feed and in
Mm-hmm,
the legal field, sorry, as
mm-hmm.
a legal worker. Tell us what that entails and, the type of things that you do, with your specific, niche, what you want to do within this field. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So, as a legal worker, I'm somebody who went to law school, but I am not a lawyer. I have been a paralegal, I have been a legal assistant, I have been a legal observer, I have taught lawyers. A lot of what I do is training lawyers and other folks to how to use the legal field to their advantage. A lot of what lawyers are taught is not about representing people. And so what I do is I teach them how to represent First Amendment protesters, people who are exercising their First Amendment in the streets. The other thing that I do is I teach folks about voting and how to leverage their power of civic engagement to be able to get what they need from the government. So I teach people how to resist state oppression,
Mhm.
but also how to access resources provided by the state.
Awesome, awesome. How did you get into this? Why was this your passion when you decided that you wanted to work within the legal field? What was it about you or your background or your environment that really propelled you into, this aspect of legal work?
Well, I am the eldest daughter of a Dominican immigrant. So, first of all, I have the first generation child syndrome, right? So, like, we have to do more, do better. Like, that's just what I was told. My mom said we didn't have any lawyers in the family. She always thought I would be a lawyer when I was little. I didn't think that. So really, I kind of took a circuitous route to becoming a lawyer because I started out being an organizer first.
Mhm.
I was an organizer for many years, an activist for many years in the streets, working with unions, working with like Food Not Bombs community groups, teaching skills and sharing resources.
Mhm.
And so I never intended to go to law school. When I went back to undergraduate to finish my bachelor's degree in political science, I started meeting more lawyers because apparently that's what you do with the political science degree. And my dean in undergrad told me, Ría, like you can't stop what you're doing. Your passion for advocacy, we need you in the community. We need you to go to law school. So I wrote a poem as my entrance letter, and I got into law school.
Oh, I
And
love
it
it. The
was
creativity jumps out.
I mean, I had been traveling as a poet for many years. I just,
Mhm.
I thought I was going to be a teacher or something. And then I went to law school and I was introduced to the National Lawyers Guild in my 1L year. And that changed everything. The mentor, the teachers, professors that I had in law school became my lifelong mentors, and became people who I still connect with and who like help provide guidance in my life and help
Mhm.
answer questions. Additionally, like the people that I went to law school with are still very in my life. Like we still talk all the time. We still engage. They call me like, "Hey, Ría, this protest is happening. Can you help?" Or I call them like, "Hey, this person needs representation. Can you help?" Like we still interact. So I never thought I was going to be a lawyer. I ended up in law school, and then like as most first generations do, I went through it. And then my mother passed away when I was in law school. So at my third year, instead of finishing the third year, I decided to take a break and I started working for the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund as a paralegal. And that brought me back to remembering, like, I love organizing. I got to go to Mississippi and work with community. I got to go to Alabama and work with community. And it reminded me to get back to my roots. And then I went and applied for an organizer position with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law and the Voting Rights Project. And once I started organizing again, it was like riding a bicycle. I literally kicked in and was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so I continued to work with lawyers. I started training them. Then we had, the inauguration of the past administration of President Trump was a huge deal here in DC. And so there were so many people that got arrested, thousands of people that needed to be trained. So I just did a lot of work on the ground, and here we are.
Certainly.
Like 7 years later, still doing it.
You're still here. I want to touch on something. When it comes to queer people and the representation that they seek for certain things, talk to me about some of the more frequent issues, frequent legal issues, frequent things that usually come up that you realize that queer people, particularly queer people of color, need representation for when it comes to, legal issues.
And so a lot of what it is people not knowing and not having access to a lawyer, so not knowing questions, not knowing what to ask, not knowing how to protect yourself, not knowing what to say or what not to say. You shouldn't say anything. But if you do have to speak, like, what is it that how do you represent yourself? And especially like when we have folks who are non-binary or transgender in our community, there's different ways that we want them to interact with the police so that they can be treated fairly, so they can be treated safely, fairly as much as possible. I will say I don't believe police treat people fairly generally, but like trying to make sure that people know what their rights are, and know how to like utilize them, not only for the protection of yourself, but for people who might be standing with you. Like, if in DC, if you have seen, there have been people boycotting Nellie's, which is a local gay bar, right? But those people didn't just go out into the streets, right? They had to learn like what are the tools and tactics that we can use to be able to be out in the streets, know our rights, and know how to push back when the police try to, assert anything over them. So it's just teaching people about their rights and how to use them.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now recently, this month, actually, you have been awarded the Legal Worker Award from the National Lawyers Guild. Talk to me about that, and how has that been? When did you hear about it? How are you feeling about it? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So it's really wild how it happened. Last year during the uprisings, here in DC, there were so many protests happening here, but also around the country. So I trained like thousands of protesters around the country virtually about their First Amendment rights, how to get in the streets, how to disrupt or redress your government with your grievances, if you will. And so after I did that, then I also spent a lot of time training lawyers on how to protect folks and how to help them, how to help them represent people who've been arrested or anything like that. And I've been doing that for a long time. I spent the fall, when I was here last time on your show, I was down in Georgia because I was helping with voting rights and training folks on how to resist and disrupt violence in case they experience harm when they were trying to vote. So I just really spent the whole last year just using my legal skills for the community, trying to teach people, trying to skill share, trying to share as much as possible. And I got nominated for the National Lawyers Guild Legal Worker of the Year Award. And then I got it. And I was just notified like, oh, wow, okay, thanks.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Now I see a date here, October 11th to 17th. What's happening here?
So that's the Law for the People convention. Every year, a bunch of legal workers, lawyers, and people who work in our like First Amendment and dissent spaces.
Mm-hmm.
We get together, have a convention. Normally it's in person, but because of of COVID, we're going to be virtual. And there are classes people can take. If
Mm-hmm.
they're a lawyer, you can get continuing legal education credits. If you're not a lawyer and you just want to learn about these skills, or if you want to connect with other people from around the country, this is where you do it. If you're a radical person in the legal field, this is where you're going to be from October 11th to 17th.
Ah.
And when you're out there, like we do all kinds of things. Like sometimes we do protests like on the spot. We teach people how to do legal observer training. Like we have to get it when we get it, right? So
Yes,
yeah.
certainly, certainly. Amazing, amazing work. Listen, thank you for all that you have been doing within this field, within our community, and, really standing up and defending what is right, what is here for our community. And people like you are exactly who we need. So before I let you go,
Mm-hmm.
how can people keep up with you, get in contact with you, follow you, or just access resources if they need to?
Mm-hmm. So first thing is, if you have any questions about knowing your rights or want any information about that, you can go to National Lawyers Guild, NLG.org. And if you go to NLG.org, they have all of the resources. They can send you some, like you can find out how to get legal observers at a protest or to help you in your community. If you're interested in following me, you can find me on Twitter at Mrs. W in DC. That's MRSDUBYAINDC. So just follow me there, and I'm happy to answer questions and make sure you get connected with the people that you need to in your community. Uh,
Amazing.
yep.
Yeah, go
Or you
ahead.
could also, one last thing. So Hulu did a like little documentary on my work earlier this year, and so
Okay.
slight flex. Okay.
Baby,
So
we
you can go.
love a shameless plug on this channel, honey. So get into it.
So you can go to Hulu. The name of the show is Your Attention Please.
Mhm.
And you can go to Your Attention Please and find my episode that came out March 29th of this year.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. Listen, thank you so, so, so much for joining us today. It has been such a pleasure chatting with you. To our viewers, the links will be in the description, okay? And to our viewers, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.